Kregon's Dark World, Another Day of Blood. Part 4, Where the Family Lies Fall. The daughter's heart was heavy as she left her home, her father's warnings ringing in her ears. But she couldn't ignore the pull of the forbidden books, the lore of the world that lay beyond the borders of her small town. As she pored over the pages, her eyes fell upon a picture of her mother, a woman she had never known. The image was accompanied by a note, written in her father's hand, that read, "The life we want is here." July 21, 1998. The daughter was stunned. She had never seen her father's handwriting before, and the date was from long before she was born. She realized that her father had been keeping secrets from her, hiding the truth about the world that existed beyond their borders. Fueled by anger and a sense of betrayal, the daughter made the decision to leave. She knew it was dangerous, but she couldn't stay in a place where she felt so confined and restricted. As she gathered her belongings, she stumbled upon her father's old radio. She had heard stories about the marauders who roamed the wasteland, and she knew that they were a constant threat. But she also knew that they might hold the key to the answers she was seeking. She tuned the radio to the right frequency and listened intently as the voices crackled to life. The marauders were discussing their plans to pillage a nearby town to the north. The daughter's heart raced with excitement and fear. She knew she had to act fast if she was going to make it out alive. With a heavy heart, she left her father and brother behind, setting out on her own into the unknown. She was angry at her father for lying to her, but she couldn't help but feel a twinge of guilt for leaving them behind. As she journeyed north, the daughter was filled with a sense of purpose. She didn't know what the future held, but she was determined to find out. She would uncover the truth about her mother and the world that her father had kept hidden from her for so long. Part 5, The Daughter's Journey. The daughter's journey north was fraught with danger at every turn. She had barely traveled for a day before she was accosted by a group of marauders, who beat her and left her for dead. But despite the pain and trauma she had endured, the daughter refused to give up. She was determined to survive, to find her place in this harsh and unforgiving world. As she lay there, battered and bruised, the marauders returned, this time with an offer. They saw something in the daughter, a strength and a ferocity that they admired. They offered her a place among their ranks, promising her power and protection in exchange for her loyalty. At first, the daughter was hesitant. She had always been raised to believe in the sanctity of human life, to treat others with kindness and respect. But as she thought about it, she realized that in this world, those values meant nothing. To survive, she would have to be ruthless, to do whatever it takes to protect herself and those she cared about. So she accepted the offer, joining the marauders and embracing a new, darker side of herself. She began acting without remorse, killing 2 people brutally without hesitation. At first, the daughter was plagued with guilt and doubt. But as time went on, she found that the violence and brutality came more easily to her. She became hardened, desensitized to the suffering of others. And as she rose through the ranks of the marauders, the daughter realized that she had found a sense of purpose in this new world. She was no longer the scared, sheltered girl she had once been. She was a survivor, a force to be reckoned with. But even as she reveled in her newfound power, the daughter knew that she would never forget the past. She would always carry with her the memory of her father and brother, the life she had left behind. But for now, she was content to live in this new reality, to do whatever it takes to survive and thrive in a world where kindness and compassion were a luxury few could afford. Part 6, Don't Watch. The son's heart raced as he and his father approached the band of marauders. He had heard stories about these ruthless outlaws, and he knew that they were not to be trifled with. But he was not prepared for what he saw when they arrived. His sister was there, standing among the marauders, a fierce look in her eyes. The son was stunned. He had always thought that his sister was different, that she would never succumb to the violence and brutality that defined this new world. A firefight broke out, and the son found himself caught in the middle of the chaos. He fought bravely, but he was quickly overwhelmed by the marauders. Before he knew it, he was a prisoner, his hands bound tightly behind his back. As he was dragged away, the son watched in horror as his sister raised her gun and fired at their father, hitting him squarely in the chest. The crowd cheered as he fell to the ground, his life ebbing away. The son was filled with a sense of betrayal and despair. He had always believed that his sister was different, that she would never succumb to the violence and brutality that defined this new world. But now, he saw her for what she truly was, a cold-blooded killer, a monster. As he was led away to an uncertain fate, the son felt a deep sense of loss and grief. He had lost his father, his sister, and everything he had ever known. He was alone in a world that had become a nightmare, a place where even the people he loved could turn against him in an instant. But even in his darkest moments, the son refused to give up. He knew that he had to keep fighting, to keep struggling against the forces of darkness that threatened to consume him. He would find a way to survive, to find a new family, a new home, a new hope. Part 7: The Father's Bleeding Heart. The father's heart was heavy as he stared down the barrel of his daughter's gun. He had always known that this day might come, that one of his children might turn against him and embrace the violence and brutality of the new world. But he had never thought it would be his daughter. As he looked into her eyes, he saw something he had never seen before, a cold, hard determination, a willingness to do whatever it takes to survive in this new world. He realized that he had failed her, that he had not prepared her for the harsh realities that lay beyond their small town. But even as he felt a sense of guilt and regret, the father refused to back down. He knew that he could not let his daughter kill him, could not let her be consumed by the darkness that had taken so many others. He looked beyond his daughter, to his son, who stood nearby, his eyes wide with fear and confusion. The father saw the pain and sorrow in his son's eyes, and he knew that he had to fight, not just for himself, but for his children, for the future that he had always dreamed of. With a deep breath, the father spoke, his voice steady and calm. He tried to reason with his daughter, to convince her that there was still hope, that they could find a better way, a way to survive without sacrificing their humanity. But it was too late. The daughter's finger tightened on the trigger, and the father saw the look in his children's eyes, a mixture of fear, sadness, and desperation. And then, everything went black. The father felt a sharp pain in his chest, and he knew that he had been shot. He fell to the ground, his vision blurry, his thoughts growing hazy. But even as he slipped into darkness, the father refused to give up. And then, with a final breath, he let go, and the darkness consumed him. It's a hell of a dark world. The next day of blood is coming.